The email arrived at midnight, offering me $50,000 to become the live-in assistant for a reclusive writer in the remote Appalachian mountains. No questions asked, just sign the NDA and show up. Desperate after my father's factory closed and our family farm teetered on foreclosure, I clicked accept without a second thought, packing my life into a duffel bag and driving through twisting roads to a cabin that felt like the edge of the world. But when I met Elias Hawthorne, wheelchair-bound from a decade-old accident, his piercing blue eyes locked onto mine with an intensity that made my stomach drop, whispering, "You're not here by chance, Alex. You're here to save us both." From that first handshake, Elias's world enveloped me like a fog rolling in from the peaks. The cabin was a fortress of solitude, perched on a ridge overlooking endless forests in West Virginia, far from the bustling coal towns where I'd grown up. Elias, a once celebrated novelist whose books dissected the human psyche with brutal honesty, had retreated here after a car crash that left him paralyzed from the waist down. His fame had faded, but his mind was a razor, sharp, unyielding, and hungry for connection. My job was simple on paper: manage his correspondence, transcribe his dictations, cook meals, and handle the isolation that came with no cell service and weekly supply drops. But Elias had other plans. He tested me from day one. "Tell me, Alex," he'd say during our first dinner, his voice low and commanding as he wheeled himself to the table. "Why does a strapping young man like you hide behind that stoic facade? Your resume screams small-town conformity. Football star, church volunteer, engaged to the high school sweetheart." I bristled, fork pausing mid-air. My life back home was a scripted performance. Son of a devout Baptist family, expected to take over the farm, marry Sarah, and produce heirs to carry the Mitchell name. Coming out as gay wasn't an option. It was a death sentence to everything I knew. I'd buried those feelings deep, dating girls to fit in, ignoring the stolen glances in locker rooms. But Elias saw through it all, like he was reading one of his own characters. As weeks turned into months, the isolation amplified every tension. Elias dictated his new manuscript, a raw exploration of forbidden love in conservative America, and he wove in details that mirrored my life too closely. The protagonist grapples with his desires, he'd narrate, his eyes never leaving mine. Torn between societal chains and the pull of authenticity, I'd type furiously, my fingers trembling, feeling exposed. One evening, after a particularly grueling session where the character confessed his love to another man, Elias wheeled closer. "Alex, have you ever loved someone you shouldn't?" His hand brushed mine, sending a jolt through me. I pulled away, muttering about needing air, and stormed out into the crisp mountain night. The pressure built like a storm. Back home, my family bombarded me with voicemails during rare trips to town for supplies. Dad demanding I return to help with the farm, Mom fretting about Sarah's growing impatience. "You're abandoning us for some cripple's whims?" Dad had snarled in one message. The guilt gnawed at me. Elias, sensing my turmoil, pushed harder. He shared his own story. Outed in his 20s by a jealous colleague, disowned by his wealthy parents. Then the accident that stole his mobility during a heated argument with an ex-lover. "I chose truth over safety," he said, "and paid dearly. What will you choose?" Our confrontations escalated. One night, after I'd snapped at him for probing too deep, Elias revealed he'd researched me. Old social media posts, family obituaries. "Your grandfather preached against sodomites from the pulpit. You're carrying that poison." I exploded, accusing him of manipulation. "You hired me to fix your broken life, not dissect mine." But deep down, his words cracked my armor. In the quiet hours, I'd lie awake, replaying moments. The warmth of his touch, the way his laughter filled the cabin, the intellectual sparring that made me feel alive for the first time. Then came the betrayal that shifted everything. Elias confessed he'd been corresponding with Sarah under a pseudonym, feeding her doubts about my commitment. "I did it to free you," he claimed, tears in his eyes. "She deserves better than a lie." Rage boiled over. I shoved his wheelchair back, watching him steady himself with gritted teeth. "You've ruined me," I yelled, grabbing my keys to leave. But as I reached the door, a snowstorm hit, trapping us. Forced proximity ignited raw honesty, hours of arguing, revealing vulnerabilities. Elias admitted his loneliness had turned to obsession. I confessed my suppressed attraction to men, starting with a childhood crush on my best friend. By dawn, the storm cleared, but our dynamic had irrevocably changed. I didn't leave. Instead, I chose to stay, drawn to the man who'd dismantled my facade. Yet, the cost loomed. My family's expectations, the societal scorn awaiting if I embraced this. Elias warned, "Loving me means war with your world." And he was right. The first skirmish came soon after. As spring thawed the mountains, so did the barriers between us. Elias and I navigated a tentative alliance, our conversations evolving from dictation sessions to late-night debates on ethics and identity. He'd will himself to the porch, where we'd watch the sun dip behind the ridges, sharing stories of lost dreams. Mine, the football scholarship I turned down to stay home, pleasing Dad. His, the Pulitzer nomination derailed by scandal. In these moments, affection bloomed subtly. A shared glance, a lingering hand on his shoulder as I helped him transfer to bed. But romance? I resisted, haunted by moral quandaries. Was this genuine or Stockholm Syndrome in isolation? The outside world intruded via a surprise visit from my brother, Jake. He tracked me down after Mom's worried calls, arriving unannounced in his pickup truck. "What the hell, Alex? Dad's health is failing, and you're playing house with some queer writer." Jake's words hit like punches, his face twisted in disgust. Elias, overhearing from inside, wheeled out defiantly. "Your brother's a grown man, capable of his own choices." The confrontation turned ugly. Jake shoving me, accusing Elias of corrupting me. I defended Elias, but the words stuck in my throat. "He's my friend." Jake left in a huff, vowing to tell the family everything. That night, Elias and I argued fiercely. "Why didn't you claim me?" he demanded. "Because I'm not ready to burn bridges," I shot back. The hurt in his eyes was a dagger. My indecision was betraying him too. Guilt compounded when I snuck to town and called Sarah. "I can't marry you," I admitted, voice breaking. Her sobs echoed. "Is it him? That invalid?" The slur stung, revealing her prejudices, and mine, buried deep. Hanging up, I felt unmoored, the weight of my choices crushing. Back at the cabin, Elias waited, his manuscript open. "Write the next chapter," he urged. As I typed, the story's protagonist faced a similar fork. Stay hidden or risk all for love. Elias's hand covered mine. "Choose, Alex, for us." But choice brought sacrifice. My family's retaliation was swift. Dad cut me from the will. Mom sent Bible verses condemning homosexuality. Friends from home unfriended me online. Whispers of faggot trailing in town. Elias faced his own demons. An ex-publisher demanding he retract autobiographical elements from past books, threatening lawsuits. "They want to erase me," he confided. In solidarity, I helped him revise, our collaboration deepening our bond. Yet doubt crept in. Was I trading family for fleeting passion? A pivotal clash came during a rare outing. Elias insisted on attending a local literary festival, his first public appearance in years. I drove him, nerves frayed. At the event, a heckler shouted, "Hawthorne's a pervert, crippled body, twisted mind." The crowd murmured. Elias faltered mid-reading. I stood, defending him. "He's a brilliant man who's overcome more than you'll ever know." The admission outed us subtly, hands linked as we left. Paparazzi snapped photos. By morning, tabloids screamed, "Reclusive author's gay affair with young aide." The backlash was immediate. Hate mail flooded. Locals boycotted supply deliveries. Isolation turned oppressive. Elias's health declined. Pain flares from old injuries, exacerbated by stress. I nursed him, but resentment brewed. "You dragged me into this?" I accused one feverish night. "No," he whispered. "You walked in eyes open." His vulnerability cracked me. I confessed my love, a quiet admission amid tears. But love demanded more. Elias pushed for commitment, a public life together. I wavered, torn by loyalty to my roots. The turning point. Jake returned, this time with Dad. A family intervention in the cabin's living room. "Come home, son," Dad pleaded, eyes weary from heart issues. "This ain't you." Elias watched silently. I faced them. "It is me. I've hidden too long." Dad's face crumpled. Jake stormed out. The rejection stung, but liberation followed, a weight lifted. Yet, the price. Dad's health worsened, blaming my sin. Guilt shadowed our budding relationship. As summer peaked, Elias and I forged ahead, his book nearing completion. But shadows loomed, betrayals from within and without tested our resolve. With the manuscript's climax mirroring our turmoil, Elias's writing became feverish, as if exorcising our demons. We'd work through nights, my transcriptions infused with our shared pain. The hero betrays his lover for family, Elias dictated, his voice laced with accusation. I paused. "Is that us?" He nodded. "Fiction reflects truth. What would you sacrifice?" The question haunted me, amplifying internal conflicts. Loving Elias meant defying societal norms. Small-town America viewed us as aberrations, a disabled recluse and his corrupted aide. External pressures mounted. The tabloid exposure invited scrutiny. A conservative activist group picketed the mountain road, chanting slurs. Supplies dwindled. We rationed food, huddling by the fire. Elias's frailty worried me. Medication shortages triggered spasms. "Leave me," he urged during a bad episode. "I'm a burden." I refused, holding him through the pain, our intimacy emotional, not physical. But the isolation bred paranoia. Was this love or codependency? A shocking betrayal came from an unexpected source, Elias's former agent, Miriam. She arrived uninvited, claiming concern but wielding a contract. "Sign this, Elias. Disavow the gay themes in your book, and I'll get you published again." Elias hesitated. Fame's allure flickered in his eyes. I overheard, heart-shattering. "You'd sell out for success?" I confronted him later. Tears streamed. "I thought about it. For us to escape this hell." The admission felt like treason. Trust fractured. I packed a bag, ready to flee, but Elias blocked the door in his chair. "Don't go. I chose you." We reconciled in raw dialogue, exposing fears. His of abandonment, mine of inadequacy. Reinvigorated, we fought back. I contacted LGBTQ advocates, securing media interviews. Elias's story went viral, a symbol of resilience. Support poured in donations, fan letters. But victory was bittersweet. My family disowned me fully. Mom's letter, "You're dead to us." The pain was visceral, a moral quandary. Was authenticity worth familial ruin? High drama unfolded when Jake ambushed us. Drunk and raging, he broke in, wielding a bat. "You stole my brother." He swung at Elias. I tackled him, fists flying. Police arrived, arresting Jake for assault. In the aftermath, Elias cradled my bruised face. "This is the cost." Guilt consumed me. Dad's heart attack followed, blamed on the stress. Hospital visits were tense. Dad whispered, "Why choose perversion over blood?" I left in tears, questioning my path. Elias's book launch approached, a make-or-break moment. We traveled to New York, his first city venture in years. At the event, protesters clashed with supporters. Elias read excerpts, voice steady, "Love defies chains." I stood beside him, out and proud. Applause thundered, but backstage, a call from home. Dad in ICU. Rushing back, I faced the family. "Your choices killed him," Mom accused. Dad, weak, extended a hand. "Forgive me, son." Reconciliation glimmered, but his passing days later left me reeling. Had my defiance hastened his end? Grief twisted our bond. Elias supported me, but I lashed out. "If not for you." He retreated, hurt. The moral debate raged internally. Right to love versus duty to kin. Society's judgment amplified. Online trolls, lost friendships. Yet, awakenings emerged. Allies from unexpected places, like old teammates reaching out. As fall colored the mountains, we rebuilt, but a final test loomed. A choice that would define us. Elias's book hit bestseller lists, thrusting us into the spotlight. Interviews dissected our relationship. How does a small-town boy fall for a disabled icon? I'd deflect, but internally, the exposure eroded my resolve. Hate crimes spiked locally. Vandalism at the cabin, threats scrawled on our door. Security became necessary. Freedom curtailed. Elias thrived on the attention, his confidence soaring. "This is our victory," he'd say. But I felt like a prop in his narrative. My sacrifices overlooked. A moral crossroads arrived via an offer. A Hollywood producer wanted Elias's life rights for a film, but demanded toning down the gay elements for broader appeal. Elias considered it. "Think of the money for your farm to mend family ties." Betrayal stung anew. "You'd dilute us for profit?" We argued viciously, words like weapons. "I'm thinking of you," he yelled. "Always the martyr," I retorted. The fight exposed cracks. His ambition clashing with my need for authenticity. In the heat, I confided in a support group online, anonymously sharing doubts. But a hacker outed my posts, twisting them into "aid regrets gay affair." Scandals erupted. Elias accused me of disloyalty. "You vented our secrets?" Trust shattered. I left for home, seeking solace. Arriving at the farm, now under Jake's control, I faced hostility. "Traitor," he spat. Mom, softened by grief, hugged me. "Come back to God." Temptation pulled, "Revert to the old life, deny Elias." But memories flooded. Our shared laughs, his strength inspiring mine. The internal war peaked. Driving back, I weighed ethics. Betray love for normalcy, or embrace pain for truth? Arriving, Elias waited, vulnerable. "I rejected the deal," he said. "You're worth more." Reconciliation was tentative, built on apologies. But damage lingered, his health faltered again, depression setting in. I cared for him, but resentment simmered. Why must love cost so much? Society's backlash intensified. A lawsuit from the activist group claimed Elias's book promoted deviancy. Court battles drained us financially and emotionally. Witnesses testified. Ex-friends labeling me brainwashed. Elias defended fiercely. "Love isn't a choice. It's a revelation." The trial became a circus, forcing public declarations. I testified. Loving him awakened me, but at what price to others? The jury ruled in our favor, but victory felt hollow, relationships irreparably damaged. Post-trial, we retreated to the cabin, seeking peace. Yet, a final confrontation brewed. Jake, released on bail, confronted me alone. Dad died ashamed. Fists flew again, but this time, words pierced deeper. "You're right. I chose wrong," I admitted, but clarified. "Wrong by hiding, not by loving." Jake left, seeds of doubt planted. As winter neared, Elias proposed, "Marry me, make it official." The idea thrilled and terrified, defy laws, family, society. My decision would seal our fates, with unforeseen consequences rippling outward. The proposal hung like a storm cloud, forcing me to confront the ultimate moral dilemma. Marriage meant permanence, a public stand against the prejudices that had scarred us. Elias wheeled through the cabin, outlining plans. A quiet ceremony in a progressive town, inviting allies. "It's our statement," he urged. But I hesitated. Visions of family funerals I'd miss, children I'd never have in this life. "What if it's selfish?" I asked. His response, "Love is never selfish, denying it is." Tensions crescendoed with anonymous threats escalating to a break-in. Intruders trashed the place, scrawling hate speech. Elias, shaken, questioned our path. Maybe we're fighting a losing war. For the first time, he showed defeat. I rallied him. "We've come too far." But internally, doubt festered. Was this worth the toll on his health, my soul? A pivotal awakening came via a letter from an unexpected source. "Sarah, now married elsewhere. I see your happiness in the news. Be true, Alex. Her forgiveness lifted a burden, sparking resolve. Yet, family remained fractured. I visited Mom, pleading understanding. The Bible says, she began, but trailed off, tears flowing. I miss my son. A chink in the armor, perhaps time could heal. High-stakes drama unfolded at the wedding planning. Protesters gathered outside the venue. Media swarmed. Elias, in his tux, wheeled down the aisle with poise. I stood at the altar, heart pounding. Vows exchanged. In sickness and scorn, I choose you. Cheers from supporters drowned boos. But as we kissed, a gunshot rang. A warning shot from a fanatic. Chaos ensued. Security tackled the shooter. Elias clutched me. This is our reality. Post-wedding, we honeymooned in seclusion, reflecting on sacrifices. Elias's book inspired a movement, but personal costs mounted. His mobility worsened from stress, requiring surgeries. I quit dreams of farming, becoming his full-time advocate. Friends lost, but new ones gained, a queer community embracing us. Years blurred, but the core question lingered. Elias passed peacefully one autumn. His final words, no regrets. Grief hit hard, but his legacy endured. Books are story fueling change. I returned home, facing family. Jake, softened by time. I was wrong. Reconciliation bloomed, but scars remained. In the end, was forsaking family for forbidden love a righteous path, or a destructive folly?